Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Wednesday. Judge Mo, Don Hussam are with me. So much to talk about today as Bruno G to Arsenal gets closer as he brings in one of the world's leading super agents to broker the deal. We're talking Tonali as he is about to make a big money move to Tottenham, who are moving crazy, moving hugely in this window after getting Matheus Fernandes over Manchester United, which we'll jump into. United, do they pivot to a player like Tchouameni, or do they go for much cheaper options? Were they right? Were they wrong? We're debating that on the show today as well. Plus, Granit Xhaka to Chelsea, a new bid is reportedly imminent there as well. We're talking the World Cup also as England play DR Congo. Big shout out to our title sponsors, Score AI, where we're going to be taking a look at their predictions for the scores later. So accurate again yesterday. I think the top two results were 1-1 and 2-1 to Norway in the Norway game versus the Ivory Coast, and they went with 2-0 and 3-0 was the most likely outcomes for France versus Sweden. The accuracy is amazing, so get it downloaded now. Use promo code TFT40 for your discounts on that. Go and check it out, but more from them later. Gentlemen, how are you both?
I'm great. I'm streaming with Terry Flowers and Italian mafia member Mo. You get me?
That hair at the back, bro. The hair coming down. You look like a young. What was he? Is it not Garcia? What's his name? The actor. He was in Godfather 3. Not Robert De Niro. Something Garcia. What's his name?
Andy Garcia. Andy
Garcia. Andy Garcia. That's the one. That's what I was thinking of.
Grazie mille, Footy Judge Mo. You get me. Big up to you.
Oh, Maron.
All of you guys, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Let's go.
You do look quite Italian with a hair like that. So you're very Italian. Yeah.
100%.
It's all right, bro. Just tell you look.
You look good, Mo. I can't lie to you. It does look good.
That looks good. Yeah. What you need now is like a white shirt buttoned down to here, like the chest out a little bit, a white shirt.
I got one. Fuck. Let's not go there now.
1 second, I'm just updating this here. Look, loads to go through today. I want to start with the football. We're going to get into the transfers a little bit later in the video. I want to start with the football. How do you boys think England will get on tonight playing DR, or this afternoon? It's only in a couple of hours, 5 p.m. UK time. How do you think we will get on against DR Congo?
It's the most obvious 1-0 England win I've seen in my life. It's so bait. 1-0, 2-0. I think Congo won't trouble your goal at all. They have one or two chances. Wissa will mess them up or whatever. I don't think Congo go further than this. I think they've had a good tournament so far. They were good during the AFCON as well. I watched them. I love the guy in the stands. I think the message he shares is an unbelievable message, about the history of the DR Congo. And, I watch England and Thomas Tuchel, just like yesterday we watched with Javier Aguirre. They're just knockout competition experts. He's an expert at this shit. You may disagree with his methods, you may dislike his methods, but knockout competition is his bread and butter. He's went for the athletic approach with athletic players on the counterattacks to try score goals. The only criticism I have of England is I think your wingers are trash and weak, and Anthony Gordon needs to be bench, and Nodi Madueke needs to be bench. And if I'm in their place, I'm going Xhaka Rashford. That's the only solution to have any quality on the attack. So I think England will win, and I think England will progress to the next round. I really have no doubt about it.
You got a good drought.
Yeah.
Don't you have a good drought? You have Brazil in the quarterfinals, so you got like an easy team as well in the round of 16. It's not bad for England. I actually think Thomas Tuchel might do a Chelsea in the Champions League and actually try to win England. Even though the obvious ones that are like France, and you talk about Portugal, you talk about Argentina, you look at this, you look at England, and you think Thomas Tuchel, this has got Chelsea written all over it in Champions League 2021. It doesn't matter who plays. It doesn't matter if it's Mason Mount, Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, who cares? As long as it has a good midfield, I think he can do the job. I think England will actually maybe go all the way to the semifinal for Argentina. I'm not sure if you're going to beat Brazil, but I think against Brazil, it's a 50-50. I think tonight, it doesn't matter. I disagree with Hussam. It doesn't matter if it's Madueke, Anthony Gordon. England will win one way or the other. You will score a goal or two and you will win the game. You won't be troubled. This is not going to be Germany 2.0. This is going to be England cruising through this game. I don't think the English people have anything to worry about, even if you go behind. I don't think you're going to go behind. I actually agree with this. I don't think you're going to go behind. I think you're not going to be troubled at all. I think you're going to win the game. Thomas Tuchel is a guy that you trust in these knockout stages games. He's going to set up the team. He's going to know everything about DR Congo. He's going to be able to stop their attacks, and then he's going to know how to hurt them. I actually think that as of now, I'm looking at him. I don't think he's one of the best coaches in the World Cup, if not the best. I know that Didier Deschamps won the World Cup before, if I'm not mistaken. But Thomas Tuchel winning the Champions League. Who else won the Champions League? Ancelotti with Brazil. So maybe Ancelotti is better than him in those stages. Yeah. I forgot about him. And maybe Thomas Tuchel is one of the best coaches in this World Cup now. And listen, England have a decent team. As long as you have Elliot Anderson leading the midfield, I think you're in good place.
Andrea Pirlo,
I think Elliot Anderson leading that midfield, the new Man City player.
But you guys know after all this what's going to happen, right?
What?
Argentina-France final 3.0. It's so obvious.
I'm not sure about this. England, I'm going to tell you something, Hassan. I have a feeling that England have a bigger chance against Argentina than Brazil. Because they are both...
Yes, I don't deny that. By the way, I think England will beat Brazil as well. I think England will beat Brazil. I think, I'm going to make a statement here, yeah? I think Brazil game for England will be easier than Mexico. I think England-Mexico will be more difficult because of Javier Aguirre, because of the fact that they've got home court advantage, because they're playing at the Aztec Stadium, and they're undefeated at that stadium, so it'll be a very difficult game. I think Brazil will be... I'll be honest with you, I've watched Brazil plenty of times. I haven't been impressed with them once. I've watched every single Brazil game. Not once have I went like, wow, Brazil. I went like, wow, Argentina. I went like, wow, Spain. Wow, France. Hell, I even went like, wow, England against Croatia. I didn't say, wow, Brazil once. Not once have I been impressed by Brazil, literally.
Listen, we went from R9,
the Mexico game will be more difficult for England.
Do you know what? Like, I listen to you. We should win tonight, okay? And if we look at, well, what's interesting is looking at Score AI, okay? And Score AI is starting to influence my view on game predictions, because what Score AI believes is 1-0 to England, 0-0, and 2-0 are the top three most likely outcomes in this game. And where I can't help but agree with Score AI is we have struggled in every single one of our last 7 to 8 games against teams that sit in with a low block. The one thing the Congolese have is they're strong, pacey, and can cover ground. Why is that important? Let's just remove their technical ability for a moment. That is, of course, key. But when you're sitting in defending, when you can cover the ground quickly, when you can recover if you're caught out of position slightly, that puts you in a very favorable position, because one little mistake isn't going to be overly punished, and they've got that. They also look dangerous when they counter because they move the ball, in my opinion, quite well. They've got speed on the wings, and I think they've got a little bit of clinical edge about them. So I am worried, but I think part of that worry is because I want my nation to progress. I want my team to be good enough. But I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And when I put in, I went on Score AI this morning and said, what's your predictions? And when it said 1-0, 0-0, 2-0 are more likely. If you look at most of the results are saying England are going to win. So most of the score predictions. So we are the heavy favourites to win by about 50 to 60% in our favour. But I think the idea, 3-0 is quite low on that list. I think the idea of it being like a 3 or 4-0, England are going to have to do an amazing job to bury them. I would like us to do that because I think we need to send a little bit of a message again. I think we need to send a message to the remaining nations that if you give us space and opportunities, you're going to get punished. But I'm confident of winning, but I'm not confident of beating them convincingly. Does that make sense? That's kind of where my mindset is.
I don't think you should beat them convincingly because you play Mexico next. I think if England beat them convincingly, Mexico are going to defend a little bit. I think Mexico need to think that they can beat England, that they can play toe-to-toe with England. because we've seen what Croatia did in the first game. They pressed England and the spaces behind, even with Noni Madueke. You
The
absolutely
15
had
minutes
joy.
in the second half, unbelievable.
Yeah. Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. If England beat DR Congo 1-0, Mexico are gonna get like cocky and they're gonna listen, we're playing our home ground. We're gonna press England, we're gonna play on the front foot. And I believe that at that time, Saka, Rashford, Madueke, Gordon, Harry Kane, it doesn't matter who plays, you will be able to exploit the spaces behind the Mexican team. If you beat them by 3-0 today, Mexico are gonna think that they can defend. That's why I think that the 1-0 is the thing. It's a two-edged sword. I know that it doesn't send a message, but it makes others greedy when they play you. And I think England need others to open up against you in the latter stages. You need the teams to feel like we can hurt this English team. We can go and press them. We can dispossess them. And I think that's what you need to do. You need to play your cards. Let Mexico come out of their shells. And I think you can hurt them from behind.
Breaking news from Ornstein in relation to England tonight. So this isn't a transfer story for anybody that is wondering. Let me just get this up on my screen in front of me rather than twisting my neck. Is that Marcus Rashford is set to keep his place over Anthony Gordon for England against DR Congo. Madueke back as Saka continues to manage his fitness. Declan Rice replaces Morgan Rogers, and Jed Spence starts.
Where does he start? Right back.
What the hell? So I'm trying to figure out the team then.
Who's left back?
I would assume I would put Jed Spence at right back because he's right-footed. I would have Nico O'Reilly at left back for this game personally, because the other options is Kwanzaa. We better not play Kwanzaa. We better not play Kwanzaa at right back in this game. That's just ridiculous in my opinion. Considering
not against DR Congo, no.
No, not against them. So I get it, but Rashford I think Rashford deserves that. I think Rashford, he didn't do a great job against Panama, but I thought we did a better job than we saw Anthony Gordon do in the first two games. So that's England's team confirmed. Only 2 hours from kickoff there. In the other game, Kwanzaa's injured. I didn't even know that. To be fair.
You mean Kwanzaa, not Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa. Sorry.
Kwanzaa. Not Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is the one that injured. Kwanzaa's not injured.
Who am I?
Yeah, Habibi, he stones Kwanzaa right back, Nico O'Reilly left back. Kwanzaa, the Villa player, Ezri Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, yeah. All right,
Kwanzaa plays sometimes right back.
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Come on. God done, bro.
No. I'm sitting again. I didn't read that news that he was out injured. Spence is good at right back. Yeah, what we need tonight, and we haven't had this in the last couple of games. We need our fullbacks to be overlapping. We need them to take players away from our wide players. We need them getting forward. We don't need them congesting the middle. We need them to spread the play and open up space in the middle. It's going to be very, very important indeed. This here says, people saying the altitude will be a problem. Sports science has confirmed traveling a day or two before a game helps the body get used to it, and then fly out the same day so it doesn't affect the body. Yeah, look, if we will get Mexico if we go through. Look, it's going to be a tough game. Playing at altitude is different. I get what the sports scientists are saying. But there's no amount of conditioning you can do to feel the same in that environment as a Mexican who's played there many times. There is nothing you can do. Acclimatizing that quickly is very, very hard. That's
not for today. That's for Mexico.
No, that's for the Mexico game. Yeah, that Bobby's talking about there.
England fans assuming they've gone through is crazy.
Yeah, I almost don't even want to think about that game until we're through. If that makes, I get England have got to. They've got to plan things and put motions in place. But we're Football Terrace is back at Box Park for the quarterfinals. And I said to YouTube when they said, "Oh, you guys want to come? We want to have you back." I said, "I appreciate it." I said, "But yes, but I don't want to talk about it anymore." They're like, "Why?" I said, "I feel like I'm tempting fate for England, planning it, but we might not even be there." And it says in the invites I sent out to all the creators, it says, YouTube takeover at Box Park this date for the quarterfinal, and then in brackets it says, "If England make it." And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" Actual YouTube sending it out to people is hilarious. But look, we should win tonight. We should.
Before you move on from this, I know you're going to move on. What do you think about Julian Nagelsmann being knocked out by Germany and the people mocking them and saying that Man United have chosen the right path not to pursue Julian Nagelsmann and sticking with Michael Carrick?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. Now, I wanted to ask you about the European clubs as well, and it's a great segue into them because I think there's been a lot of underperformance from European clubs. I think Germany, I actually felt Germany looked poor the whole tournament, barring the first game. They just looked something off about them. I thought they were very lucky to beat the Ivory Coast as an example. I think they then lost, didn't they, in their last group game? I swear they lost to...
Yes, 1-0.
1-0 to Ecuador. Ecuador beat them.
2-1.
And then they looked poor against Paraguay for a team of that level. Now, what's interesting is I've made jokes about that. And the problem is I'm going to announce something I'm doing to Don from next season. Once we get to a month, a week, 2 weeks from the season onwards, we've got a new strategy for Don on the Football Terrace. Clip it up and send it to him, people. And that is every time he makes a point, we are going to change the overlay and we're going to ask him the question. And the overlay is going to say, do you mean it or are you being shameless? Because Don does this thing where he makes claims. And then if it goes wrong and he's wrong, he goes, I'm being shameless. If he gets it right, he's like, I told man. So I want to put him on the spot this year. Do you mean what you're saying ahead of time or are you being shameless? The reason I'm bringing that up is I was being shameless when I'm saying, I think we've done the right thing here. On a real level, Nagelsmann and Germany failing at the World Cup doesn't mean he wouldn't do a good job at Manchester United. However, on the flip side to that, had we hired Nagelsmann and he left Germany, or had we hired him and he fouled and now was coming to Man United, the same very people that have criticized us for not bringing him in would be going mental saying, how dare Ineos hire somebody like this? The problem is with Man United fans is there's a percentage of them that no matter what they ask for, when the club does it, they find a negative. So what does that create? Whenever you get one extreme at one end, you get an extreme at the other end, who essentially will defend every decision that's made at the football club and go, see, this is proof that Nagelsmann shouldn't have been employed. The same as if DR Congo knock us out tonight, that doesn't mean that Thomas Tuchel would have failed as our manager either. I'm a little bit more in the middle. You know, is it a guarantee that Liam Delap would have been a failure at Man United last season like he was at Chelsea? No. Do you get where I'm coming from? Would Isak have had a better season if he'd stayed at Newcastle? Maybe, but we don't know, right? And I'm a bit like, I just get a bit frustrated. We know that Nagelsmann and we know that Tuchel are very good managers. I would have liked them at Manchester United. Just because one of them has failed at the World Cup doesn't mean... I mean, if Carlo Ancelotti goes out to England, does that mean Carlo Ancelotti is not a good manager? Do you get where I'm coming from? It's just, I don't really like...
And international football is different anyway. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, the Swedish manager and Didier Deschamps, let's say they switched places. There's no way that Didier Deschamps, even in charge of Sweden, would beat France. It's impossible.
Yes.
They have too much quality for Sweden. Sweden are Isak and the rest, like Jokeras every now and then, and the rest of the team is just, I'm sorry, trash. Outside Ayari, who's an okay midfielder at Brighton. Meanwhile, you watch the France team, and it's like Olise playing the game in slow motion, Mbappe making runs in behind, Barcola dribbling past players. Oh, look who they brought off the bench, Desiree Doué. Desiree Doué would be Sweden's best winger. So with international football, it's completely different. You've got to rely on your individual abilities. What will Scaloni be without Messi? Nothing. This is the truth. Yes, Scaloni is a fantastic manager. Yes, he changed a lot. I watched the Argentine sides fail. So did Terry. So did Mo. We saw Argentina fail with Messi when they had Carlos Tevez and Sergio Aguero and Gonzalo Higuain and Esteban Cambiaso and Javier Zanetti. We saw them fail because they didn't have the manager that placed Messi in the right position. Completely correct. Scaloni has empowered Messi for the team to play for Messi. I accept that. That's a massive thing. But with international football, it's also about the weapons you have at your hand. This is the reality, because you can buy players for football clubs, but you can't change people's nationalities. Well, you can in certain instances, but you can't change. Like, you can't buy someone to your national team.
I agree. I agree. I think as well, though, for instance, I think sort of there's been Portuguese managers in recent years who haven't got the best out of what they've got, as an example. And I do think there is also an element of blame and criticism that can go into Nagelsmann. The hard bit is I don't follow German football closely enough. I can only assess what I see in the tournaments. And he may have made mistakes, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't be good at United. The problem is with our fan base at the minute is that we are so polarized on everything. So me and Mark Goldbridge have had a bit of back and forth on X today. He's essentially called me out because I'm defending Man United for not paying the same wages and the same transfer fee for Matheus Fernandes that Spurs did. And he's like, well, we overpaid loads in Fergie's era before the Glazers. I don't think we did. I think we paid the going rates. For instance, I don't think that we broke a British transfer record to sign Keane. But I think Roy Keane was better then than Matheus Fernandes now. And I think Roy Keane is better than Matheus Fernandes will ever be. So I don't look at that as comparable. Buying Roy Keane for that fee was massive. But I believe that is comparable to us going out now and buying Vitinha. That's comparable now to going out and buying Declan Rice or a peak Rodri at his absolute best. So I don't compare the two. I don't look at the two as the same thing. When we bought Ruud van Nistelrooy, we bought a guy that was coming in, and up until the likes of Haaland have arrived, he came into the league and was scoring more goals per game than any foreign import ever. That for me is different from going out now and spending £100 million on a striker like Vlahovic, because it gives, do you get where I'm coming from? So I look at these situations, and Man United fans are very emotional at the minute, and I'm looking at Man United fans who have, and this is the crazy bit for me, and the tweets are out there if you want to go and find them. And Goldbridge is one of them. And Goldbridge is a guy I have worked with. I'm sure I'm going to be back on the United stand next season. I've been very busy the last few weeks. But, we're not falling out. Me and Mark get on great. I even messaged him after our exchange today going, a bit of beef online. Like, we get on. But I've seen this guy complain since Marouane Fellaini was bought because we paid too much for him. Because we could have got him 15, 20 million pound cheaper a week before. I've seen him complain about the amount of money we put Rooney on because he was past his best. I've seen him complain about the salaries that Luke Shaw, Rashford, Sancho have got. I've seen him complain about the amount of money we spent on players like Anthony that we then couldn't sell, Mount that we couldn't then sell because they flopped. Remember, the most successful clubs in England and the world only have about a 50% success rate with signings, which means every signing you make, it's a flip of a coin whether they deliver. And the more you pay over their valuation, the bigger the percentage chance they fail. Because the more you pay, let's just have it right, boys. The more you pay, the higher the expectation is for them to be a success, right? Like, Alexander Isak at Liverpool has got to become a 30, 40 goal a season striker across all comps to ever be considered a success. Had they signed him for 50 million, 20 goals would be enough. So you then raise the bar higher. And yet the same people I've seen moan that we've overspent, overcommitted, and taken too many risks in terms of these new deals or the salaries or the transfer fees for players, and now who also said Matheus Fernandes is a £50 million max, and now saying we should have paid 85 million. We're being cheap. How are we being cheap when you agree with Ineos? If you think he's a £50 million player and you spent a decade moaning about overpaying for players, how can you then be angry at them for not paying 85 million?
Can I change your mind on one thing?
Crazy.
Would you overpay for a player you rate?
By a small percentage, yes. So
if you're forced to,
So I hear you, right? Yeah. So again, this is
Tonali. Use Tonali example. We all rate him.
Okay, yes. So I think Tonali is a 70 to 80 million pound player. Would I personally go as high as 85, 90 million? Yes. Would I go to 100, 110, 120? No. Would I pay him 300 grand a week? No, because I don't think he's that good. So I look at these things, and this is the bit that I find interesting. Too many people are arguing their own subjectiveness, and they're ignoring the logic. And the reason people want to ignore the logic is because they know it's right. So I sit there and see United fans and go back 1st of June, people. 1st of June. Go and read from Ben Jacobs' tweet. 1st of June, when he said, and his words were, and I quote, I'm going to read it to you. West Ham value Matheus Fernandes at double the 38 million plus 4 they paid to Southampton, as previously reported. Man United and Arsenal both considering a move and hold a lower valuation. Okay, PSG also have him on their radar. Read the replies. The first one is from Saeed. It says, West Ham can't be the ones making demands. Read the quote tweets. Thousands of replies, thousands of retweets and likes and quote tweets. No one, no Arsenal fan, no Man United fan, no Chelsea fan, no Liverpool fan, no City fan, no nobody said that's a fair price. Everybody said 40, 50 million at best. No one valued him at 85 million. No one said, well, he's worth it because Man United are signing this absolute superstar. Man United agree with you. We would have been signing a good player who could become a very good player. I rated him.
But you can't go at Man United fans for wanting to sign the players if they see their club is falling behind the teams that they are competing with. With all due respect to you, Terry, let me just say this.
No, go say it.
Let me just say this. With all due respect to your opinion, if we're not going to pay for Tonali for this 85 million, and we're not going to pay for Tonali 100, and we're not going to pay for Elliot Anderson, and we're not going to pay I understand if you take the money and you say, I'm not paying for Matthias Fernandes, but I'm taking the opportunity to sign Tonali. But how many midfielders are listen, I agree with you about not paying over the odds for Matthias Fernandes. But if Tonali is going to go, and Elliot Anderson is going to go, Matthias Fernandes is going to go, Adam Morton is going to go, who are you going to buy then? Who are you going to buy? You have to at least at some point match the market price.
So,
I agree with you that he's not 85 million.
No, you don't. So this is where... No, again, but you've agreed with me that... So you agree with me that Man United shouldn't overpay for Matthias Fernandes, yes?
Yes, in a principle, yes.
Yes.
But you can't go at the fans for wanting at least to okay, so we're not signing Matthias Fernandes. What about Tonali? What about Elliot Anderson? The problem, you are limiting. I know what you're doing. You are limiting the opinion of Matthias Fernandes. But it's not only about Matthias Fernandes, and I'm defending Mark here. Because Mark, I listen to what Mark is saying.
Well, let me respond
Mark is saying, okay, but let me just clarify something. Mark was talking about, okay, we passed on Elliot Anderson, great, because it's overpriced. Okay, we passed on Matthias Fernandes. What about Tonali then? When are we signing somebody? Because he's talking about the general idea of like, you're passing on this because you're overpriced. This overpriced. Okay, they're talking about the general idea, not only the specific case of Matthias Fernandes.
I agree with Mo on that, by the way, as well. Because at some point in time, you're going to have to overpay.
But no, you don't. No, you don't have to overpay. Why? Why do you have to overpay?
Fall behind then. You're going to fall behind.
Can I answer that question? No.
Let me respond to what Mo just said. You won't fall, you never fall behind by not overpaying. So if a player's worth 100 million, but you spend 200 million on him, why does that make you a better team? If there's a player that's worth 40 million and you pay 80 million for him, why does that make you a better team?
Because at the end you need to sign somebody. You have two midfielders. Bro.
Okay, but that isn't the question. Why does overpaying make you a better team? Again, would you agree?
I can answer that.
Would you agree that there are other players in England or across Europe that are of similar level to a Matthias Fernandes, who we all said was valued between 40 to 60 million? Do you agree there are other players out there of similar level?
Of Matthias Fernandes, yes. But not Tonali. Let me tell you the problem.
Okay, but
hear me out. What happens after Tonali? Let's say Spurs get Tonali too. Then who's the fourth option? That's
Adam Morton.
Okay. I'll give you an example using my own club. And this will clarify to you why overpaying sometimes is okay. PSG want 116 million for Bradley Barcola, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's massively overpaying. Bradley Barcola is worth 80 million, 90 million tops. The reason why I would pay 160 million for Bradley Barcola is because the option after that is Minte. So I put myself in a position where I either overpay, and I admit I overpaid, but for a very good quality player, or I end up with an option that's way worse. Tonali, for me, is the one midfielder that City, Spurs, and Man United should have all been fighting for at the start of the window. I think Tonali is better than Elliot Anderson, and I think he's better than Matthias Fernandes as well. Now, if the part where I agree with Mo's explanation is, okay, you didn't pay for Elliot Anderson because you overpaid, no problem. You didn't do it for Matthias Fernandes because you overpaid, no problem. With Tonali, now you will start to get into option D and option E.
Okay. I don't think it is. And the example that you gave is flawed, though. So you would pay 116 million pound for Barcola, yes?
Yes, and I wouldn't 70 for Minte.
Okay. So that is a 30% increase on the valuation you've just given him.
Mm-hmm.
Matthias Fernandes went for nearly 70% above his valuation. That would you pay 144 million for Barcola?
Over Minte, yes. I'm not.
So and that's your choice. I think spending 144 million pounds on Barcola is ridiculous. I think that's too. I think you're never going to get a return on that money. I don't think he's going to. I think Barcola is brilliant, but I think that's too much.
Football Terrace valuation.
No.
They paid,
Hang on,
no.
No.
Where did you get the valuation from?
What valuation? I'm talking again. So you're judging again. You're judging again. So we're not doing. We're going to use Man United's valuation. What Man United stated they think he's worth, because we need a medium ground. Otherwise, we'll all give a different valuation. Would you agree that when Matheus Fernandes' price by West Ham was announced, would you say the general consensus said across socials between 40 and 60 million is his value? Would you both agree to that?
Yeah, on social media.
60, 70, yes.
Well, I think 70 is a bit of a push, but then let's just sit in the middle of that and say 50 million.
I am using their own words. They said they want to double the 38 million at least.
It doesn't matter what West Ham want. It's about the buying club. I understand why West Ham want 85 million, but when you're buying a player, the requirements a seller has to make money up is irrelevant. Are you getting value for your money? So, for instance, clubs sometimes increase the price of a player because they've got a sell-on clause. So a player might be a 50 million pound player, but they've got to give half of it to the old club. So therefore they increase the sale price because they want to make their 50, they want to get their 50 million. Now the buyer has to look at that and go, now it's going to cost us 80 million pound. Is that player worth us investing that amount of money? I think when you start getting into the realms of paying 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% more than a player is worth, that's when you've got to look at yourselves. That's when you have to look at yourselves and go, is that a sustainable way to behave? Now, a lot of people respond with, but we're not accountants. It's nothing to do with the money directly. It's the toxicity and the culture that you then bring into your club. And this is the biggest reason I didn't want Matheus Fernandes. It has nothing to do with the 70% financially. This player wouldn't commit to us. And I know he has his own reasons and I respect them. But what I want my club to do, I'll give you an example. We spoke before we went live about an opportunity the Football Terrace is coming up with. And you both went well up for that. Thank you. If you both went, no, maybe I'll have a think about it. Let me know near the time. Do you know what I would do? I'd pivot to other people. I wouldn't be bothered about, I'd be like, you're not even that interested. See you later. So from my point of view, a player saying he's fairly happy with our terms, but he's going to wait to see which club pays West Ham the most before he makes his decision. The reason he's doing that is to earn his agent a bigger fee. I don't want players with that attitude at my football club either. I'm actually embarrassed. So people sitting there saying I'm defending our ownership. No, I've criticized Ineos. I think we should have walked away last week and gone, no agent or player is going to dictate to us in that way. Now, a lot of people, again, think that's a bad way to look at it. It's how the top clubs behave. It's exactly what PSG have just done with Diamande. They've said, we will start bidding, but you fully commit to us. It's what we did last summer, and it worked well for us. And it's what I want us to do again. I don't care if we miss out on 2, 3, 4, 5 targets. I don't want players coming into this club who are more interested in making their agent and their ex-club more money out of us. I am not about that anymore. We did that with so many players we signed 2013 to 2023, and it was one of the biggest catalysts that killed our football club. So I don't care about the money from wow, we saved 10 million, I'm so happy. I'm more about what can we spend that money on in terms of improving the squad for football, and how will this impact our dressing room? And I think the Man United fans are ignoring some of the biggest factors that killed our football club in the last 10 years and want it to be repeated for a fucking dopamine release. For a player that they all sat there and said 4 weeks ago to the day when the 85 million pound valuation was announced, said, walk away, United. He's no worth no more than 50 million. The only reason their egos are hurt is because Spurs came in and were prepared to pay it. And I'm not worried about Spurs getting him. Fair play to Spurs. I'm more worried about my club's actions. And I think spending 70+% extra on a player is ridiculous. Because you do that, by the way, we're not getting the... It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You overpay for Tchouameni then.
Okay, so let's have that conversation, because that's the kind of player we have to... Where I am on the same side as, say, a Mark Goldbridge in this instance, is now it's about who we pivot to. And you guys know me. I don't lose my mind over these things in the first instance. Let me wait and see who we pivot to. So what's Tchouameni worth in your opinion? So let's just work in our little world. What would you say his valuation is? What do you think is a good and fair valuation and price for Tchouameni?
Because he doesn't play in England, about 90 million euros. That's
Okay.
what Real Madrid would
So
want.
90 million. Let's add 70% onto that. I wouldn't pay 153 million pounds for Tchouameni. That's the same
Who
growth.
said 70 million?
Well, no, again, but
Terry,
no,
why are you
Like-
taking this to heart? Like, are you just
no,
gonna
no,
add
no,
money to this
no, no,
no,
player?
no, because you asked me a question earlier and said, would I overpay for players that are good enough? Yes, but only by a certain amount. I wouldn't go as high as I wouldn't pay as much over the odds as a percentage as we would have had to have done to get Matheus Fernandes. So would I pay 156 million for Tchouameni? No. Would I pay 90 million? Of course. Would I pay 100 million? Absolutely. Would I pay 110 million? Absolutely. Would I pay 120 million for him? I think I personally would. You are talking then about it's only a kind of, you're talking about a 20 to 30% increase. I think for a player of that level that's achieved what he has. By the way, Matheus Fernandes now is earning £50,000 a week more than Tchouameni makes at Real Madrid. And look what Tchouameni has achieved. So there is a difference, and the CV matters. And we know this, and the Ineos haters have to agree with that. The reason they didn't want Carrick versus the other managers is because the CV the other managers had versus Carrick. So surely you're going to have that same attitude for a player as well, right? So I am very happy paying Tchouameni 250k a week. I'm very happy. If we get offered him at 90 million and we walk away and say it's too expensive, I will condemn that because I think he's worth it. So this isn't about defending the club from not spending. It's about, I agree with that valuation. And I'm seeing so many people that have said Matheus Fernandes is 50 million, 60 million tops. We should walk away if it's any more. Who would have done their nut. I'm telling you now, if we paid 85 million and gave him 250 grand a week, the same people moaning we haven't bought him would be slamming our ownership for wasting money. The hypocrisy is real. And look, I'm being consistent here with it. I'm not saying don't overpay ever. That's ridiculous. But equally, if Tchouameni says, guys,
So that's me and Mo's point then. You're making this about the 70%. Me and Mo's point is sometimes you have to overpay. Well, for Matheus Fernandes, we agree. Elliot Anderson, we agree. I'm saying, okay, Habibi, Tonali is going Spurs. Mr. Terry Flowers. Name the three midfielders United have as options after this.
Okay,
Who are they?
So for me,
you walked away from the Tonali deal because of the valuation as well. That's confirmed by Fabrizio and Ben Jacob.
It wasn't just the valuation. It was the valuation of 100 million, and it was the massive wages that are pushing near £300,000 a week, and the agent fees are crippling. The reason United are doing this, and look, maybe we're going to fast forward in 2-3 years' time, and we're going to regret doing this. The problem that I have with buying this is that I can't find any examples where massively overpaying for players. And by the way, I don't think he's worth that amount of money, Tonali, in terms of salary. I don't think he's a £300,000 a week player. I don't think he's on Rodri's level. I don't think he's on Vitinha's level. I think he's a category below that. And I think once you do it once or twice in the summer, every other player now wants more money. And do you know what happens to a club like the reality of our situation is we will run out of cash. The rebuild will never be complete and we'll be stuck in limbo. And why do I know this? Because I've witnessed it for the last decade, boys. So this isn't PTSD.
You know, Terry, at some point you'll have to pay £5
facts.
for the milk because it just got expensive and your kids just need breakfast, Your kids need cereal, bro. You have to pay £5. You're not gonna Man United. I get what you're saying, but at some point, this is the market.
I'll give you an
example. The market dictates what you want to pay.
No, it doesn't. I'll give you an example. Sangari in Ligue 1. I don't think there is a gargantuan difference between him and Matheus Fernandes. I don't think Matheus Fernandes is a vastly superior player who is going to exponentially get better than him. I think you could pick him up for 40 million. I don't think Mecha of Dortmund is a much better player than Matheus Fernandes. And I don't think Matheus Fernandes is going to get exponentially better than him over the next 3 or 4 years. I think he could be picked up for £50 million.
Wasn't Bro picking Matheus Fernandes like 3 weeks ago? So am I living in another world?
No. But I haven't
once said saying he's good enough?
Hang on. But I haven't said Matheus Fernandes is a bad football player. I haven't said he's a crap footballer. I've still sat here and said I think Spurs have bought a very good player who's got a very high ceiling. But would I give that young, talented player 250 grand a week to join Man United and pay 85 million pounds for him today? No. And do you want to know the other reason why I wouldn't do it? It has nothing to do with Spurs. Is right now Spurs are being lauded for spending that kind of money on him. They're like, wow, Spurs are acting like a big club. You both know as well as I do, the narrative for United would be only cost 15 million less than Rice. Same salary now as Declan Rice. He's got to deliver like Declan Rice. We are going to that he would be crucified coming into Man United with that kind of money, and that pressure has for 10 years killed our players that we bought. When we went out and bought Rasmus Højlund for £70 million, who'd barely done anything in the game, nobody went, wow, look at Man United acting like a big club. The narrative was, he's got to score 20 goals a season. Now United have dropped £70 million on him. And you also have to handle that pressure in your recruitment as well. I like Matheus Fernandes, and I hope the deal with Spurs falls through and we get him for a decent price. I'm not slagging the player off. I have not once changed my mind. But that doesn't mean I don't rate Sangare. That doesn't mean I don't think Micha's not a good player. Alex Scott's a very good player. And again, they want 80 million. But let's wait and see if he signs his new deal. If he refuses a new deal, that situation can change. I don't think Tchouameni will cost much more than £90 million. 90 million. Let's just say that, well, with your valuation, we're going by our debate. If Tchouameni's available for 100 million and 250 grand a week, is that a better deal than 85 million for Matheus Fernandes on 250 grand a week?
Yes. 100%.
So this is why I'm not panicking.
But if you had to overpay, now answer our question. If you had to overpay a little bit for Tchouameni, let's say it's not 100 million. If it was 115, 110, would you do it?
Yes, I've already said that. Yeah.
Okay, so we agree. Okay, so in principle, me and Mo already agree with you. We are saying if it's a player that you rate and it's a player that will improve you, and I'm not talking, because here's the thing, I don't even rate Matheus Fernandes to begin with. I think you could go to the French league and find 15 Matheus Fernandes. I don't think he's anything special, okay? I don't think he's worth that money. We've already established that. I'm saying there come a point in time on a player that is rated like a Tonali or a Tchouameni or a player like that, where the market sometimes dictate what you have to do. And that's why I brought up the Barcola example. Barcola on paper should be worth 70, 80, 90, whatever. He's worth 116. Guess what? My other option after that is Minte. So yes, I will overpay for Barcola, even if it's 120, even if it's 125, because Barcola makes me exponentially better compared to Minte. Barcola comes in and immediately he's the second or the best winger in the league. So now let's one second. Let's apply that to Tchouameni. Who's better than Tchouameni in the Premier League right now? Who's better than him in the whole Premier League as a DM? You could say Rice and Rodri, no problem. So he comes in and he's immediately the third best DM in the league. Now, how much is worth that for you? I would go as far as saying, I think buying Tchouameni for 125 even is better than paying 85 for Matheus Fernandes.
Okay, so where I understand you, so let's go back to your phrase that sometimes you have to overpay. There is elements of truth to that, but I think you have to. It's too broad a statement. Overpay by how much is what? Sometimes you do slightly overpay, yes, but it's versus what it's worth. But equally, if you overpay by too much, you create a slippery slope. So I'll give you an example. Neither of you have kids, do you?
I don't.
Cool. Okay, one day, God willing, the worst thing. I've got friends and family that have done this. They let their kids sleep in their bed with them. Do you know why they do it when they're young? Because they just sleep through the night and they get good sleep. The problem is you create a problem as they get older and older. You never get your bed back. They struggle sleeping by themselves. Or what you can do is sacrifice a little bit and go through the up and downs of getting up and out of bed and putting them back into bed and getting them to fall asleep. But then generally and typically speaking, what happens is as they get a little bit older, you get your full nights to yourself because they just sleep in their own bed. They go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock and they sleep right through until the morning because that is what they're used to. And that's also the issue I have here. I think there are times like your child is sick. You go, come sleep in my bed and so you feel better. But generally you put them back. So on that example, a player of Tchouameni's level, look, we're going to pay 10% above his valuation here, but it secures an absolute star. Great. But the other extreme is 70% above what Man United value the player at. That sets a precedent. Now, by the way, every other agent, every other club, every other player is now going to go, well, we want more money. We want more money. We want more money. And we have to, one, look at what culture that creates, where everybody becomes more money hungry than football hungry at the club. We saw what happened to my football club when we did that before. You got to nip that in the bud. The second element is, and people go, I don't care about the money. It isn't mine. The most stupid logic known to man, because no club has an unlimited supply of money, least of all Man United. So if every player, we go, right, it's okay to go up to £70 million over valuation, we will never build our squad. It's impossible. Imagine your wages every month, boys. If you spend 70% over your wages every month, no matter how big your overdraft is, eventually you're bankrupt. You can't do it. You have to have controls and measures, and the best clubs in the world have them. Do you want to know one club that stopped having controls and measures in the mid-20 teens? Was a club called Barcelona. At the peak of their powers, they started dropping stupid money on Philippe Coutinho. Stupid money here, stupid money there. What happened to them? they went down the toilet. Thankfully, through selling off all their assets, they turned it around pretty quickly, and they went back to being sensible. They went back to, of course, they spend big money. They're a huge club, but they weren't going out and going, right, we're going to pay the most ridiculous amounts of money for players anymore. It doesn't always work. Real Madrid, they sign players still, but look how many they're getting on frees now, because they realize dropping that amount of money on players is no guarantee of success. The mixture. PSG went away. They lowered their wage bill massively. They stopped signing the world superstars. They're arguably one of the greatest teams of the 21st century that we've ever seen produced. And I'm not saying we're going to get there, but this, for me, there is a common ground here. And I see a lot of people in the comments that say things like, stop being a slave to Ineos. This isn't about Ineos. Every Man United fan that's slamming them for not overspending, I guarantee I can find loads of tweets, loads of posts, loads of videos from you moaning about our club's overspending. I've asked for this for a decade before I knew who Ineos were. I do believe it's the right thing to do, to not have agents and players dictate to you to that level, because I saw it kill my football club. And anyone I think who is supporting it, I think you're a Glazerite. If you are prepared to do what the Glazer did that ruined us, that for me is shocking. There is some breaking news since we've been talking, guys, that we need to jump into. And that is that Spurs have made a new bid for Tonali of £90 million. A Jacobs cracker has just landed. £90 million bid. Newcastle hoping for £100 million. Talks between the clubs continue. So no word yet as to whether or not that is going to be accepted or not. But a new bid for Tonali is in. Spurs, look, away from Man, Spurs here, looking to spend the better part of £200 million on two midfielders, two very good midfield players. Do you think that's going to be enough, 90 million, Mo, to get that deal over the line?
No, I think it's 100 million euros, if I'm not mistaken. I think 90 million, I think that will get the deal done with packages and stuff. He's worth that. If Elliot Anderson was 130 million or 116, I think he is worth that. I'm looking at the benchmarks. I'm looking at Matthias Fernandes, 85, Tonali, 100 million euros, which is 90 million pounds, is decent money. I wanted to see Tonali at City or Arsenal or Liverpool or Manchester United or Chelsea. I'm going to have to watch him at Spurs. But De Zerbi is a good manager. If he gets these players to perform, maybe we'll see a swap between Man United and Spurs next season if Man United go what Terry is doing, of course, and then at the end they're gonna end up with Tielemans and Kamara or something like this. They're gonna end up with these guys. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what's gonna happen next season. It's a good business for Spurs. You know what I mean? I like Tonali a lot. I actually think he's a very good player. I know that Sam loves Tonali. He likes Tonali a lot.
Tonali.
Right?
I think he's the best.
And I think it's a freaking fucking waste of time for him to go to Spurs. Can he just go to a decent club that will compete next season? Bro, is he? I don't know. Bro, I'm sorry for Spurs fan. Is he stupid, bro? Is his agent stupid? Or is it really the money, as Terry's saying? 275k a week is ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous.
But of course it's the money, and that's no disrespect. Again, everyone always goes on about Madrid's pool.
Are we moving in a different direction, though, and should we just accept it? Because Gakpo is on 280 a week. Gravenberg is on 270 grand a week. Tonali is better than them both.
No, I don't disagree. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with what Spurs are doing.
Yeah, man, then fans, and then Terry puts out content about ticket increases. Man, that's why clubs increase tickets prices.
Well, but this is the argument you're right on, right? So this is the thing. I'm not someone that don't like the fact that ticket prices go up. But again, if people are happy for their clubs to pay these wages and pay these transfer fees, your ticket prices will go up. The shirt prices will go up. The brands offer more money, but then they want to make their money back, so they've got to increase the prices of everything, right? It's all there. You know, the reason everything becomes more expensive is because essentially the more money a club makes, what they don't do is capitalistic, but it's what they don't go, right, we've got 900 million revenue. Fans come in for free. They go, well, now what we can do, we've got more money, is buy better players, have a better team. You have more demand for tickets, so they put the fucking prices up. The problem is you won't have one without the other. So I do agree with you on that. But I've got no problem with Spurs spending this money. Fucking fair play to Spurs. Fair play. I don't, if they can afford it and they think it's the right thing to go to the next level, do it. But my argument is this whole pool nonsense. Your club's got no pool. This club's got no pool. Pool is related to money. If Man United right now turn around and went, listen, Mateus, we're gonna actually offer 90 million and there's 300k a week, he'd change his mind and come to us. Not just because we're bigger and better than Spurs, but we've offered more money. If, by the way, if you went to someone like, if Spurs went to Kvaratskhelia and offered him 800 grand a week, he might join. If you offer enough money, one thing I got told once, this was by one of my old clients when I worked in the banks. He was from Saudi, very rich man. He said, everything in the world is for sale at the right price. Everything. You can buy anything for the right amount of money. For the right amount of money, Elon Musk could sell your Tesla. If you had it, right? For the right money, eventually people say yes. But sorry, back to you, boys.
Yeah, but that's part of the pull, though. We have to admit that if Man United, with all due respect to Manchester United, if Man United had this pull and the headache that Saeed and Touchline and everyone and all the Man United fans are going, we're Manchester United, we're not Liverpool. Diamondi rejected Liverpool to go to PSG and all this. Oh my God, we're not a feeder club. Even with less money, Matías Fernandes could have turned around and said, no, I want the bigger club that has the pull. How many players have rejected more money to join the club that they want? To be honest with you, this has to be spoken about. If Manchester United had the pull that the fans are giving us headache about, Matías Fernandes could say, no, I'm joining Manchester United.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much they pay. No, but he joined the club with money. That means your pull is similar to Spurs. It's all about the money.
But again, it's in the middle. Because last year, Spurs and Newcastle offered more money to Šeško and Mbumo, and they chose us. This year, the Spurs offered more money to Matías Fernandes than we did, and he chose them. So I would never. I don't know what Saeed and these guys have said, and Saeed's probably just trolling people. No disrespect, but he's just trolling, right? He's having a bit of a laugh and a joke.
Everyone not only about Saeed, there are others as well, you know.
But, yeah, but I understand that. But again, and that's a debate for you to have with them. I've always been consistent with this. I've been talking about it for years. Every club's poll is related to their.
So you have been rejected then. So you have been rejected.
I'm probably the only Man United fan online. The one bit of PR I never buy from our club is we walked away for financial reasons. Most of the time we walk away because we got rejected. By the way, with Matías Fernandes, we didn't walk away. We still put a £70 million bid in and offered him 270k a week. We didn't. Elliot Anderson rejected us. Semenyo in January rejected us. I'm the only Man United fan that accepts this. Everyone else wants to say, oh, we're tight-fisted, we walked away. Now, we're telling you we walked away because you babies can't handle rejection. And the pool, we have massive pool. All the big clubs have pool. But a big percentage of the pool that clubs have is related to the salaries you're prepared to pay. It's a simple fact of matter. PSG, if they said to their players tomorrow, guys, we're halving all your salary, their pool would dissipate. No matter how good they are, who their manager is. By the way, if suddenly PSG said to Luis Enrique, you know that new contract we're going to offer you, it's half the money now, Luis Enrique would think about leaving. Every club's pool is, but the problem is what I'm saying is boring. It takes away the fun. You don't get to have a laugh with that. It's like the net spend argument. People like it because they can use it at times to make fun of people. I'm probably just seen as a bit of a killjoy for speaking the facts. At the end of the day, United have pool. Last year, when there was no Champions League football, we were signing no one, and then we beat loads of Champions League clubs to players. This year so far, City have beat us to Elliot Anderson, which is fair, and Spurs have blown us out the water financially to sign a player. Now, I wouldn't have gone as high as Tottenham, but fair play to them. And by the way, if Brighton tomorrow go in the race for Barcola and offer a lot more money than Liverpool and a massive thing, they've got a chance. But they're not going to do that because they haven't got the money. Money talks in this game. These players want to get paid. The only time it becomes a problem is if your club thinks that's too much money for a player of that quality. It's because of the butterfly effect. And this is the one thing that Spurs have to look at here. This has got to work. The problem Spurs are going to have is if it flops. Because then you've got two midfielders earning £500,000 a week that cost you the better part of $250 million. Every other player at your club is then going to start knocking on the door for pay rises. Every other signing wants more money. And if they don't get back into the Champions League quickly, the revenue is going to dry up and they're not going to be able to afford it. So it's a gamble, but if it pays off for them, it could really work. The problem is if it doesn't. And remember, 50% of signings fail. And every signing is a risk. No one thought Wirtz, Isak would be flops last year. They were. Now, there was reasons for that, but they were. No, they were. None of us thought they were. We all thought they would succeed. And when Pogba joined, I thought he wasn't a flop, but I thought he'd be better than he was. We've all had it. All these signings were a risk. And I just don't think my club are in the position to be paying multiple players vast sums of money above their valuation. Spurs, though, there is a difference. They're in a much stronger position financially. Do you know why, though? Because they didn't spend 10 years hemorrhaging billions of pounds out their club. That's what everyone likes to ignore. But very good signing if they get him, to be fair. Very, very, very good signing for them. One of the other transfer stories today, and we haven't really touched much on Chelsea in the last few shows, boys, is there, and this is an interesting one. I'd love to get your take on it, but a new bid for Granit. Maybe we should pivot to him. Granit Xhaka. They offered 8 million and it was rejected. It looks like they're going to increase that offer to Sunderland to around 12 to 13 million. Do you think that's going to be enough to bring him in?
I don't know.
Go ahead,
it's a good signing for them. It's a good signing for them, but it's not enough. That shouldn't be the marquee signing. He adds leadership to Chelsea. I think he's a good player. I think he was signing of the season last season, or one of the signings of the season last season. Of course, Shirky was a number one for me. I think Chelsea are it's a strange behavior by Chelsea. They're trying to sign a wing back that is 28 and a right wing back that is 21 and a midfielder that is 34. I think they're all over the place. I actually think that the Chelsea are all over the place. The transfer market is actually kicking their asses because now I'm not sure it's going to sound like raw, but that guy, Granit Xhaka, I think he adds a lot to Chelsea. I think Chelsea need a character like Granit Xhaka in the dressing room. I think they need that with the likes of Caicedo and Palmer and Andre Santos and the young players that they have.
Big up Caicedo as well, getting sent home yesterday against Mexico. Fantastic deliveries from the set pieces. I went into Twitter. Twitter in Spanish is cooking Caicedo's set pieces, his passing ability, which is the stuff Hussam has been saying. Unlike the guy on the left, who we will not name names, I'm not going to say which one of them.
What is Isa Converts playing?
Who said Caicedo is
who are they playing in the round of 30?
Isak lost to France. Who did Caicedo lose to?
Mexico, bro.
Oh, Mexico! No way.
The host country.
Where was his playmaking ability against Mexico?
Country.
Anyway, go ahead. Finish your point.
I don't know. I like this Xhaka thing to Chelsea. I actually like it. It's cheap option. I actually think it adds a lot to the Chelsea squad currently. I don't know why people are hating it.
Okay, I'll say this as the biggest Chelsea hater on this panel. I think Granit Xhaka will be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. I think it's exactly what they need. I'll be honest with you. I think they need a bit of leadership. I think they need a bit of character in the dressing room. I think they need men, because the Chelsea players this season have proven they're a bunch of peas, and there's no nice way to say it. They're absolute P word. All of them, they're just not like men at all, bro. Like there's nothing about them they're not fighting. They have no fight. They have no passion. They have no determination at all. Granit Xhaka will slap the shit out of them if they misbehave on the football pitch. And they need that. They need that leadership. They need that leadership ability. 8 million in the modern era, respectfully, is like 1 million from 10 years ago. That's nothing. 10 million, 12 million, they need it. And Chelsea need to continue to move in this direction. They need to continue to sign players that are Premier League experienced, that will make them better. I saw their link to Adam Morton as well. Another player that I think will be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. I saw their link to players who are of age. Last week, me and Mo criticized Chelsea, and rightfully so. Okay, Gusto leaves, Palestra walks in. No change. Say similar level players. Okay, they're both okay, good players, nothing special. Xhaka for me is different. Xhaka is a leader. Xhaka is someone who comes in and he uplifts the players around him. And we saw that with Sunderland. He kept that Sunderland team with all those changes together. And he played well on the football pitch as well. And I know there's concerns over his age, but we must remember, Chelsea play 1 game a week. Even at his age, surely he can do 1 game a week. What are we doing here? Let's not exaggerate. He can play 90 minutes every week if it's 1 game a week. So, yeah, I think Xhaka will be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. And it's exactly what they need as well.
Yeah, and also Lacroix and Adam Morton with Xhaka.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, I forgot him. Lacroix. Yeah.
Lacroix, listen, last week Chelsea were moving into a direction. I'm I don't know what you're doing. Now with the links to Lacroix, Adam Morton, as Hussam said, and Xhaka, you're adding the mix of a young England international, Adam Morton, Lacroix, French international. Even though I think Lacroix is a little bit of a level below the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, and Gavardiol and these guys. I think he's a good defender. But
you want to know the problem? Achimpong is 10 levels below. So choose one.
Yes, I understand what you're talking about. But for Chelsea, I like what they're doing. I think they are getting targets that Xabi Alonso likes. But the wing backs and the wingers and selling Malo Gusto and all this stuff, I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm afraid that Chelsea are moving behind. I thought that Chelsea would be targeting the top talent, but it looks like they aren't because of the Champions League football not existing. But if freaking Spurs can sign Tonali and Matheus Fernandes, I don't know why Chelsea can't sign Tonali, can't sign someone like Matheus Fernandes, why they are not going these places. I don't know. Chelsea need to see the summer end, Terry, for us to see what Chelsea are freaking doing. Because
I agree with the Sam here. I'm sorry to say, Granit Xhaka, look, you're not going to get the longevity from him due to his age, right? Which is absolutely fair. But let's say they end up bringing him in for say £15 million. He's as good as Tonali. He's as good as Tonali as a footballer, if not better. And Granit Xhaka is one of those players. He's 33. I think you're going to get two. He's one of those players that doesn't look like his body's. The only risk is his body could break down quickly. But when you look at Tonali, I think Tonali's excellent. But I don't look at Granit. One of the reasons you don't look at, listen, Granit Xhaka creates more chances, progresses the ball better, wins more duels, wins more possession, passes the ball with full more. The only thing that he's better than Xhaka at is carrying the ball. Every other major element for a central midfielder, Granit Xhaka is better than him at, and was last year in the Premier League, as an example.
Man United can sign Xhaka then.
Well, mate, listen, if Man United pivoted to Granit Xhaka right now as a member of a midfield 3 purchase, I wouldn't be overly against it for a player for a couple of years. The exact same reasons as Sam gave. I think he's a top Premier League player who could deliver for the next couple of years as you steady ships. And I think in terms of two teams, Man United and Chelsea, who've got problems.
Wouldn't say your ship is steady, though.
Our midfield isn't steady.
I wouldn't say it's a good signing for Man United or us or Arsenal. I think it's good for Chelsea.
I think
they really need to steady the ship. Our ships are steady to an extent. Like their ships
I'm talking as ship steady until we try and open up our midfield, and then as soon as we start opening up, we start to Jesus Christ. You know, there's that part of a boat. Have you ever been on a boat, like a sailing boat, and I don't know what it's called. It's like a fin that goes underneath. You're taking it out. I remember I went on a thing when I was at school, and me and my best mate.
Talking about the dinghy boat?
No, like a sailing boat. But there was a thing that goes down. I can't remember what it was called, right? I've only gone sailing once. And this instructor told us to take it out for a laugh. And the boat started doing this, right? We ain't got a balance. As soon as we open up, we ain't got balance at Man United. But I think it's an excellent little signing for Chelsea. I think for the next couple of years, he'll be, he ain't going to be one of the best in the league, but he's going to be there. There are players being sold this summer for 100 million that he's as good as. The difference being, they are 24, 25, 26, and he's 33 years of age. But I think when you need 5 or 6 experienced players, picking up a couple of players that are like Granit Xhaka for short-term stability, I think is key. Not every decision has to always be with the longer term in mind. You can make medium-term decisions in life. And I think that Granit Xhaka to Chelsea for the money we're talking, I think it's a very good piece of business. I think he's going to cook there, especially under.
We can't be hypocrites because it's what we asked Chelsea to do for a while now, anyway.
I agree, and there's value out there, and I think it also shows there's value out there in the market. Not every, there's so many talented players in the Prem, but £100 million. And it's the thing with Adam Wharton. I'm not sure if Adam Wharton's going to get his move this year. £100 million. I rate Adam Wharton, but £100 million is what I'd want to pay if I was buying Vitinha. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of level. Yeah, but the buyers also control the market, because I think the reason why I say that is that there are. What is crazy is what seems to have disappeared this summer, but I heard fans talk about it for the last 4 years consistently, is don't buy Caicedo, buy the next Caicedo. Don't buy Wharton, buy the next Wharton. Those players exist, they're out there, and I think it's a mixture. I'm not saying don't buy a star player, but Chelsea need 5 or 6 very good experienced players. They can't all be 80 to 100 million pound players. It's impossible. You can't do it. Arsenal, different situation. They need 3 or 4. They've got the similar budgets to everybody else, if not more. They can go 90 million, 80 million, 100 million, because that's what their squad looks like. Spurs are going about it in a very different way, but they're not really. They might do 90 million, 85 million, but the likes of Senesi have come in quite cheap. Van Hecker at 42 million. Spurs will also, but they've got a free in Robertson, and it's about a mixture. But sometimes for football fans,
wasn't Senesi free as well?
Senesi was free. Yeah, it's a mixture. there is a mixture in these things, and this idea that every player has to be £100 million is crazy, and that's why I won't panic. Look, if we get to the end of Man United, well, I don't want to go back to Man United, but if we get to the end of the window and we have barely signed anybody, we've only spent £80 million and it's crap, I'll condemn it. But imagine getting your bumhole out today. Imagine going on the internet, getting your bumhole out and showing the world, and then next week you sign a player that everybody's excited about. And do you know the worst part is about everyone losing their heads? If we end up having a good summer in the end, they'll be joining in and celebrating with us. It's like, no, you don't get. It's so hard to support a club nowadays. Supporting a club gets you abuse. It's kind of weird that. It just bores me, man. But no, very, very good bit of business. Very, very good.
In the end, Man United gets Tchouameni for 100 million. They won. That's the reality.
I'm going to tell you something. If Man United get Tchouameni for 100 million, Sam will do a rant about Liverpool.
Yes,
I'm just going to tell you this from now. Guys, be prepared to notification on.
Yeah, because it means Man United got better. What Terry's saying is true. The only thing me and Mo stopped him on is sometimes you do have to overpay, and it's the reality. But you want to know why Terry doesn't want to do it for Matheus Fernandes? Because he thinks Matheus Fernandes is a good player, but he doesn't rate him that highly. That's the reality. And that's fair. Because sometimes you also need to push finance to the side and look at it from a football perspective. Respectfully, if me, Mo, and Terry right now, I'm not even exaggerating, I'm being dead serious. If me, Mo, and Terry right now watch League A games, 10 League A games in a row of 20 different random teams in the League A, we can find, with all due respect, 15 Matheus Fernandes. Let's be honest. Does he do? And it's the same thing with Elliot Anderson. And it's the same exact thing with Elliot Anderson. How many athletic midfielders do you think I can find in the French league for £10 million? How many? I watched for Cote d'Ivoire by the name of Ulai. We played Turkey.
But I also think as well, it's why I like this Granit Xhaka deal. Do you boys not think that football fans have become absolutely addicted to the dopamine rush of signing a player that's in vogue? Maybe not even the best, but I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, if you were linked to now the Man United player, Ederson, it was, oh my God, whoa, Ederson. He was hyped, right? A year ago, if you got linked to Belieber, how excited did people get?
Yeah.
Very. 2 years ago, there was another player like that everybody wanted. I rated him, but said I want to stick to Kobe. But everyone, oh, give me Lavia. Oh, give me Lavia. Now, I'm not saying his ability is bad, but his fucking body and availability is one of the worst. Arguably, Lavia never goes in these conversations. Pound for pound, you could argue Lavia is the worst signing of the modern day era in the Prem. 50 million and he's never finished a game. Like, deep that, right? Yes, Anthony cost 90 million. The guy scored goals in 2 cup-winning runs. I'm not saying he's not a flop, but I'd rather Anthony again than a Lavia, right? 50 million. The problem is that we're all, for me, so addicted to not just signing players, but it's signing either players that are hyped that everybody gets jealous about in the short term so we can lord it over people, or winning a race for a player. An example I mean is this. If Spurs hadn't got involved in the Matheus Fernandes race and we paid the 85 million, we'd be slammed for it. But because it's a race with Tottenham and we have to avoid the embarrassment of being beaten to a player by Tottenham, we must pay what's ever on offer. That's ridiculous. We actually deep that for a minute. It's crazy. That's what those people shouldn't run football clubs. And we had owners like that before. Lavia is still only 22. What's that got to do with anything? What does that mean?
And he's played 10 games in 3 years. Great.
And
he's a young injury-prone player. Fantastic.
But you get my point, though, boy. Do you not find that, like, people now, there's certain players where, like, I'm not being funny. If a team now got linked to Isak this summer, most teams go, oh, God, I don't know if I want to take the risk, right? Because of the injuries and how he played. Where last year, everybody would have wanted him. And this is the thing. Players go up.
Last year, Mo was telling me just pay the 120. I'll give you
an example about what there is value out there. It's about trusting your scouts. If any of our clubs 2 or 3 years ago signed Vitinha, there'd have been riots.
Yes. Now it's
and I'm not saying Man United will pull that off.
There's an example of a player from last summer compared to now. Forget even the season. Baleba. Why is no one saying I want Baleba anymore?
Do you know what's, yeah, because he had a season that was underwhelming in comparison. Plus, he then started getting assessed differently because, oh, United want him. I'm going to watch him now, or I'm going to overanalyze. He still had really good moments last year. And look, let's see what happens. But just because he had a season of development where he was up and down doesn't mean he won't be a good signing for a club now. He didn't become a bad player last season. What's interesting, though, Everyone's saying United have got to overpay. I guarantee you, if we drop 70 million on Belieber, 60 million on Belieber, the same people saying we should have paid 85 for Mateus will say, why have Ineos overpaid? Because what they'll do is they'll then change the stance and go, well, no, but based on my subjectivity. And what I'm doing, I'm not actually, I'll have my own opinion, but we have to find a common ground, which is what's the club's valuation. And then I'll assess how the player does. Because I do remember people saying it was crazy that we bought an unknown goalkeeper. One signing of the year, won the official signing of the year award. Everyone was like, who's he? Why would you buy him? There is quality out there. And I think Granit Xhaka to Chelsea at that money could end up being one of the signings of the season.
I like it. Go ahead.
Lavia has only played 120 minutes at 1,200 minutes at Chelsea. Yeah, it's horrendous. Vamos Mexico. I hope we play England next. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to play Mexico.
Viva la Rasta! We sent Caicedo packing yesterday. I was celebrating.
Mora that plays for Mexico is actually the nephew of one of the guys that plays with me. He actually knew that he's going to go to the World Cup.
Mora, who, the 17-year-old?
Yes.
He's very talented, you know, Mo. He's very talented. Yes. Very talented player.
If Robert De Zerbi can't get his squad to get that... Sorry. If De Zerbi can't get this squad to gel, they are dead. Well, I'm not even going to ask Spurs fans this year. I'm going to leave it till later in the summer. But if they keep buying like this, there's got to be an expectation on them to win something and get back in the Champions League. Should be, right? But there we go. Mo says, do what the market says. We literally signed a goalkeeper last year for 18 million, 18.1 million. He was the signing of the season. You don't do what the market says.
I'm not saying that. You got me.
No, he didn't get you. Let me tell you why you're a fraud, Joshua. Because why didn't you use the other examples of where Man United did do what the market did and it was successful signings?
Like who?
You did what the market dictated with Cunha. You did what the market dictated with Nguemo, and they were both successful signings. Sometimes doing what the market does is a successful signing.
Yes, but those players were signed for in and around what most people valued them at.
No, last summer, this inflation of this summer is even stronger than last summer. Last summer, people was going like 50 million for Cunha, 50 million for Nguemo. You paid 70. You overpaid a little bit.
No,
but still they're successful signings.
No, last summer, most people accepted that the price for a 20-goal a season, a 20-goal Premier goal season from Mbeumo, paying in the 60s, rising to 70 with add-ons was deemed was fair. Now, it might be slightly over the valuation of a player, but not 70% over the
You're
valuation.
Responding to something I didn't say. Read the super chat. He was signing of the season. You don't do what the market says. I'm giving successful examples of when you do what the market says, sometimes it works. That's what I'm saying. So it's not always the case. You could pay 90 million for Tonali, and he also can be signing of the season, even at 90 million.
No, he could be. No, you're absolutely right.
Declan Rice, prime example, 110 million. Was he not considered signing of the season? Yes, he was.
But most people actually considered him to be, a lot of people that know football considered him to be worth that amount of money.
Yeah, and I agreed with that at the time too. So did Mo. Guess what? He's a successful signing for Arsenal. Without Declan Rice, Arsenal don't win the league. They don't challenge. It's a fact.
But even to your point about Mbeumo, we paid 64 million for him. If we use your valuation of 50, that's still only a 25% increase on that valuation.
Can you fuck off with the 70%?
Can you stop with this shit, bro? It's not 70%. The valuation was.
I'm responding to Joshua's point. He's saying sometimes you don't do what the market says. I'm saying sometimes you do and it's successful. I'm giving successful examples from your club and you still argue.
Again, but the argument is do what the market dictates. But if the market dictates you pay 70, 80, 90% above what you deem a player's valuation, you don't necessarily do that. Now, we all agree that there are some players that you might go slightly over. Now, I'm using your valuations for the players. You said Mateus Fernandes 50 million. I wouldn't pay 20 million pounds more for Mateus Fernandes than we did for Mbeumo. I think that's ridiculous. Mbeumo's a goal scorer. They are more valuable. Mateus Fernandes is not 20 million pounds more expensive than him, in my opinion. Shouldn't be. that also helps break the market. We have been getting bullied in the market for a decade, overpaying for stuff not worth it. It's hypocritical from the same fans that bitch about that. Now, do you know what I'll say about Josh as well? Josh is one of the biggest Ineos haters out there. Do you know what I love about you, Josh? And I want to give you so much credit. You are not just looking for a reason to dislike Ineos. You have sat here on this show, and I know you're United stand as well. And for years, you have said, don't overpay, don't do this, don't do that, don't overpay by massive amounts, don't have agents and players control things. And you're getting that now. The very least you have to do is give it time to see whether it works. The idea is you can't ask for something and then moan about it just because you feel embarrassed that Spurs signed a player. But again, what United fans should have done is what I did, accept the fact that Spurs might win the race. Equally, people saying Spurs have no pull because they were in a relegation battle. Been telling people for the last 2 weeks, barring like they're a big club, Spurs, and people don't like to admit it. And because they don't like to admit things, they then get embarrassed when they're proven wrong. Fun story: I correctly picked the last 2 World Cup winners. This time, the rules said I couldn't pick France or Argentina, so I went with England. If I'm wrong, I owe beers to 20 of my cousins. No limits. Come on, England. Big up yourself, bro. And I hope England win, but I hope they do it for you as well. The fact that they wanted you to pick the winner but wouldn't let you fucking pick the 2 best teams is crazy. One of my next door neighbors actually knocked on my house and he was like, I've got a sweepstake at work and I got Mexico. They got a chance of winning it. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But it's quite a big sweepstake that he's in. Bruno Guimaraes, reportedly, gents, has brought in a new agent to push this move through to Arsenal. And in the last little period, Lee Ryder has said, and this is very interesting, that Arsenal have not officially bid for Bruno G yet, but have been told the terms of the deal and what will probably make what it would take to sign him. And that is coming from Lee Ryder, who is a very respected Newcastle journalist by all accounts. Obviously, their stance publicly has been he's not for sale. I don't think anybody ever believed that he wouldn't be for sale. There's talk
again with their bullshit.
There's talk between 65 and 75 million could see this deal get done. But with Tonali going and what now looks like Bruno G going, as much as I am frustrated that United haven't got more midfielders yet, but they're losing their best 2 players.
I think Newcastle are the dumbest club in the Premier League. No. I have to say first. They're the dumbest club in the Premier League. They're the dumbest club in the Premier League by far. They're literally the dumbest club. From last summer until today, they messed up their own club. I don't feel 1% bit of sympathy for Newcastle United. From last summer, had they just sold Isak at the start of the window, they could have gotten Ekitike. Had they were serious and they got an actual sporting director, instead of having Eddie Howe's nephew as the sporting director, signed better players. At the end of the day, you took the 120 million from Isak, you paid that on Wissa and Ilanga. That's you. That has nothing to do with the market. That has nothing to do with other people. You're the ones that paid 70 for Wissa. You're the one that paid 60 for Ilanga. That's on you. You decided to make those transfers and you ruined your own football club. And that's why the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali and Anthony Gordon could not wait to get out of the club, because there is no stability, because you're running a friends and family project with Eddie Howe's nephew being the sporting director. Imagine I become the owner of Liverpool and I hire Mo as the sporting director.
Ooh,
imagine.
Sorry, just some breaking news. Brighton have agreed a deal with Spurs to sign Vukovic, the young centre-back, £50 million.
They're going to sell him in 3 years for 90 million. But anyway, I think Newcastle are making horrible mistakes. From Arsenal perspective, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. Arsenal, for me, have the easiest chance at a back-to-back Premier League title. They need to do the smart things in this window. Terry's right. Arsenal right now need to make 2 or 3 signings that are proven, that are not kids, that can come in and be difference makers. They need to improve their forward line. Bruno Guimaraes, for me, would be a starter next to Declan Rice, could be a rotational option. If you're playing Coventry City at home and Declan Rice needs to rest, you can go Bruno Guimaraes, Lewis Skelly and win the game 4-0. So that's the thing that Bruno Guimaraes offers you. So I think his experience, I think he's a good player, and I think he will make Arsenal better, definitely. Now
I think it offers Arsenal something else. I think the Arsenal midfield are a little bit soft, and I think they need that dog in them. I'm being serious, by the way. They need the guy that will elbow someone, leave the studs up, like go into the tackle. I know I'm not advocating for you to hurt people, but they need a dog. Odegaard is soft. Declan Rice runs around, and he does the work. Listen, Declan Rice is the best midfielder in the league, without Rodri, of course, being fit. But Bruno Guimaraes adds something that Gabriel adds in the center backs, which is like, I'm fighting, bro. You're trying to fight us, well, I'm fighting you. You're not gonna bully us. He's a bully. He did it for Arsenal before when they won against them, and I think they don't have that. Marzo Skelly has it in him, but he's a young player. He isn't an older player. I think they lack that profile of a player. You know, that dog, the DePaul. You know what I mean? The Bruno Guimaraes in the middle. That guy that will fight for everybody, that will cover everybody's asses on the pitch. And I think for 65 million, I'm going to tell you something. This is a signing of the season for 65 million. Bruno Guimaraes is 28. Everyone now is obsessed with young players. He doesn't have a resale value. Who gives a shit? He get his best 3-4 years and move on from it. You know what I mean? Everyone now is like, I want the 23 years old. Bro, 28 years old, the captain of Newcastle, and then you're getting the captain of Newcastle for 65 million. That's a win situation for me. Arsenal might get a Bruno Guimaraes, and I think their midfield becomes, if they get Morgan Rogers as well, that midfield is complete. It's one of the best midfields in the world, in my opinion. You like it, you hate it, but that's one of the best midfields. And for 65 million, they're pulling Newcastle's pants down. And for me, I'm going to say one thing. I think Bruno Guimaraes should absolutely go on a strike and not go to training if Newcastle do want to sell him. I'm being serious. If he sees the club selling the likes of Anthony Gordon, selling the likes of Newcastle, having Lewis Hall on the market, why would he stay in that loser project? Newcastle now are becoming the loser club of the Premier League, that everyone go and takes their players. That is what they're doing now, and I think they need to do this.
Welcome to the light, buddy.
And he needs to actually go on strike. Listen, if Spurs are snatching your player from under your nose, regardless of the price, Bruno Guimaraes should go pursue his career somewhere else. Go to Arsenal, challenge for the league, or maybe try to win the Champions League. If he stays at Newcastle, he becomes the last loser out there in the Newcastle team, and he should go. With all due respect to Newcastle fans, Mama Flossie, I know you're a supporter of my channel, Osam and Terry and everything, but you know what's going on. Your club is being run basically
like a friends and family project. Say it as it is. Say it as it is.
Like a brothel.
It's being run like an Italian restaurant.
No, it's like a brothel now. Everybody goes, pays, takes what they want, and then they go. That's exactly what happens. Anthony Gordon has to leave. Tonali's leaving. Bruno Guimaraes now is leaving. For some whatever reason, Osam is right. Newcastle screwed themselves up when Eddie Howe hired his brother or his nephew or his cousin or his whatever to do the transfer market. That's what they did. Right? That's what they did. I'm sorry for Newcastle fans. I'm sorry. That's what they. By the way, there is one more thing that I wanted to ask you guys about this. The Newcastle fan that has a big Twitter account called Jordi Josh or whatever his name is, he's saying there is no reason for me now to be loyal to any player. Basically, money controls everything. Tonali is leaving. Bruno Guimaraes is the captain, wants to go. Anthony Gordon, who kissed the badge, is going. There is no loyalty in football now because everyone wants to go. I'm not sure if you guys agree with this or it's all about the loser club and the club that doesn't want to sign player. I don't know how it works, but kissing the badge, and you remember Bruno Guimaraes, I'm staying here. I'm not, and then he's like getting.
Did you see Enzo Fernandes at Chelsea? He scored a goal in the last game and he did this. And now he's saying, I want to go to Madrid. Yeah, you're all liars.
Loyalty, there's no loyalty. Terry's right. Money talks. Bro,
there's no loyalty.
There's no loyalty. Money talks.
Ain't no loyalty in football, bro. They just got.
And that's why when I tell people don't get attached to footballers, be attached to the shirt and the club, I'm right. Bro, money talks.
But this is exactly what I'm talking about from United's perspective. There's this element of like, if you know what players are worth and what you're prepared to do, also understand that they're not going to commit themselves to you. They can say they love you, they can kiss the badge, they can say they love it all, but they will at some point want to leave if you're not at the peak of your powers. And Newcastle, listen, I know this sounds horrible, and I don't think Spurs are bigger than Arsenal or bigger than Man United or bigger than Chelsea, but they are much bigger than Newcastle. And on a financial level, they're bigger. And the one thing that stopped Spurs And I heard a Spurs fan say this the other day. He said, I love what we're doing now. We never overspend on players. I went, you spent £60 million on Richarlison, you dickhead. You definitely overpay for players. But there's a difference. If you think they think Matheus Fernandes is going to be at this level. Same as Tonali. On Arsenal, though, getting Bruno G is I've seen Arsenal fans say they don't understand it. I don't understand you. How do you not understand that this deal is so good? Can play deeper, can carry the ball, can create, can score goals. And
he has 4 assists in the World Cup already, right?
Do you know the sobering element in this? And do you know what I think happens to a lot of football? Again, it's an attachment to players again. I think Arsenal fans are like, oh, but these midfielders won us the league. They got us there. I think you guys might see Declan. Look at Declan Rice at the minute. He's got a back problem, a hamstring problem. That has stemmed through back-to-back years of not resting. What you guys need to be able to do is actually take Declan Rice out of 15, 20 games next season where he doesn't kick a ball. The problem is, no disrespect, Norgard can't be that guy. You can't be going, right, Rice, you're not coming on today. Norgard's, you're playing the whole game. He's a good player, but he ain't of that level. He ain't of that level. He's a good backup. You have Bruno G. You could have games where you go, Tchouameni starts, Bruno G. The next game, you can go, okay, Rice is back in for this one with Bruno G. The following game, you go, Rice, listen, this is a fairly easy home Champions League game. You're back on the bench. Bruno G, you're actually going to start again, and Lewis Skelly is going to be next to you. The next game, you might go, right, Tchouameni, Rice, bang it in. The next game, you might go, Rice and MLS, you're in the team. And then suddenly, Bruno G's had 2 games rest. Maybe he comes on as a sub, 15, 20 minutes. But you can look at it, and whether Rice starts or not, you look at the rotations they can have in that middle, and you go, they're winning most. That midfield's good enough to win most games in the Premier League. But it means what you might do is save those players for 15, 20 games a season. And when you get to the end of the campaign, fitter, fresher, and hopefully, from your perspective, more injury-free. And I don't get the Arsenal fans that are saying they don't understand this deal. I think it makes absolute perfect sense. I think Tonali would have been another option for them. I think with Bruno G, I think, as you say, I like the fact they're actually buying a player as well. Just from I'm sick and tired of hearing football fans going about, well, but what about the resale value? Arsenal are not in a position to worry about that. They've got 900 to £1 billion a year coming in now.
City letting players go on a free, Terry. City letting players go on a free.
It's honestly... value. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's so important. And I love this comment here. It says, Accountant Terry, you muzz me every time I hear you speak. By your logic, United will be relegated in a few years. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because the overspending is what led to us coming 15th in the league. Not the correct investment. Arsenal, that we're sitting here talking about going out and doing what they did with Bruno G, have spent large parts of the last 5 years buying sensibly as they built their squad, as an example. Sensibly. Even with City, when they built that brilliant team for Pep, they weren't consistently dropping 100, 120, 130 million pound on players. They weren't even consistently hitting 70s and 80 millions when they were building that squad. They were conservative with it. Do you know the real funny thing with Liverpool? The 1 year Liverpool went massive is the 1 year that it all wobbled a little bit. Part of that was changing the way they played. So no one is saying Man United shouldn't spend money. I'm not saying that Arsenal shouldn't spend money, but it's about knowing where you are and knowing what you need and not overpaying. Because you know why Arsenal got loads of money to spend? Because although they spent 900 million pounds in the last 5 years, what they didn't do is spend 70% above that. What they didn't do in that time was consistently overspend on their players. Imagine Declan Rice cost 130 million. Imagine Gyökeres cost 80 million. Keep going through the... Just add 20, 30, 40 million to every player. Even with the new income, they wouldn't now have the money to go, do you know what? We can add Rodgers, Bruno G, and Barcola. Financially, they can afford that. That is because they bought within their means, but they didn't they didn't overcommit on players. They lowered the wage bill for a period, so they had the room as they signed the right players for the right reasons. As they got better and better, they can keep doing the pay increases. Imagine their strategy was, right, let's put Xhaka on 250 grand a week straight away, and everyone we sign in 2020, 21, 22, we come straight in on 250, 300 a week. You'd have no room now to go to renew contracts. Every new player on crazy money. And it makes it harder for you. So this isn't about penny pinching. It's about following suit with all the successful clubs that start that way and grow over time. The way Man United operated didn't work before, so why repeat it again? Why? No one can offer me a response to why repeat what failed before. No one. Equally, I'm not saying don't spend good money on good players. Right? No one has said that either. And United haven't tried to. United offered £170,000 a week to Mateus Fernandes. I don't think that's penny pinching. I don't think that's being cheap. We were prepared to pay Semenyo, I think $200K a week, and he just said, no, that's not penny pinching. That's just being rejected. And I can handle it because I'm not a fucking bitch. But there we go. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. Gents, always a good chat. By the way, Nottingham Forest have sacked Vitor Pereira, the manager, who saved them, and Glasner will succeed him. Glasner is going to be joining Nottingham Forest next year.
Oh, damn.
Why would you leave Crystal Palace?
Mental!
What is wrong with these people?
It's crazy. Crazy.
But anyway,
That's actually
Glasner
crazy.
for Nottingham Forest is a...
There we go. Look, I want to thank everyone who tuned in to the show. I assume this is redirecting us to Hassan's watch along for the England game. No, you're not doing one?
No, I'm not.
You're a hater,
going
bro.
off.
Oh.
I'm not a hater, bro. I have to take a break. I've got watch-alongs for the next 6 days. I'm sorry. I think England will beat Congo and it won't be a contest. What's the point?
Well, what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, stay with us for a second. I'm going to set up my match reaction now, which I haven't done so already. I'll just redirect you to the England-Congo reaction show.
Anyway, guys, as Terry is setting it up,
Hater.
just remember
Hater.
that Newcastle could have avoided this whole situation. And they just sold Isak to us early June from the beginning of the last transfer window. I think even Mo has admitted it already on multiple streams. Newcastle just got punked for no reason. They could have bought Ekitike, they could have bought the better players, and they ended up with the likes of Elanga and Wissa, and that's how you mess up your football club. So I have no sympathy towards Newcastle at all. They messed up their own club, and respectfully, anyone who pays 60-70 million for Elanga deserves to get cooked. For all the people saying nice jersey, I got that from OK Jersey using code MHF for 8% off. And it makes my muscles look bigger. So I love this Ghana shirt. So yeah.
Remember that 60-70 million pound for the players they bought that flopped. And Man United fans want us to overpay for 50 million pound players. Remember that. Remember what you're asking for here. You're asking to do a Newcastle. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Love you all. Great. Listen, I know we challenge a lot of you. I know we have a bit of a back and forth. It's all fun and games. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon.